Hey there, it's bonus episode number 5 of the Infectious Groove Podcast. We're doing this tournament here, and we are 5 rounds in now. I am Russ. With me, as always, is Michelle and Kyle. For those of you who have been listening, for those of you who, Kyle and I both picked 8 albums that we like a lot. We're going to defend each of those albums each week. Michelle decides which one moves on, and then we'll keep circling back until we have a winner. Last week, Metallica's Black Album went up against Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, and Michelle decided that Metallica's Black Album was the winner, so we'll circle back to that later in the tournament. We're actually going to get into those layers here in a little bit, so that'll be cool. We've got another 3 episodes after this till we get into when albums that have moved on start facing each other, so that'll be pretty sweet. Having said that, this week the matchup is the WEEKND TRILOGY, which is kind of a reissue of his first 3 independent records in one package, versus Pearl Jam's first album, 10, which was their debut, but a lot of members of Pearl Jam were in other successful bands prior to coming together for that one debut. So, having said that, we'll do what we always do. I will pass it off to Kyle and talk to us about the WEEKND TRILOGY.
Wait, can I say one thing?
Yeah.
I just want you both to know that currently it is even Steven. It's a dead heat over here. So y'all got to really convince me, because I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah.
You don't want to spoil anything, but you're going to spoil it and say it's even.
Well, I can't let it be even, so I'm just saying I'll let you know my thoughts afterwards, but you guys got to really sell it now.
Nice. All right, Kyle, you ready to talk about the WEEKND TRILOGY?
I'm always ready to talk about the WEEKND. We always talk about debut albums from people, and though this is his first commercial album, consisting of 3 separate bodies of work that he put out on the internet for free previous to that. And this is what initially got me hooked on the WEEKND, before it came out as a 3-disc set or whatever. But holy shit, it's something. And in my personal opinion, you need to listen to it like all the way through, because it tells a story. Like a lot of albums do, it tells a story. But like if you kind of bounce around, I like to listen to it all the way through. You can definitely bounce around and listen to whatever song you fancy.
Sure.
I have a question.
Yeah.
When you say all the way through, you mean from disc 1 all the way through the end of disc 3?
No, disc 1 to the end of disc 1, disc 2 to the end of disc 2.
No, I know, but I mean, like, you're starting, like, you're not just talking about each disc has to be front to back. Like, you're talking about all 3 discs in order.
No. Most of his albums are concept albums. So, like, on the first album, I wouldn't listen to track 10 instead of starting at track 1. I would start with 1 and go all the way through. But
would you just pick the second record on its own and not listen to 1 or 3?
Yeah.
Okay, go on.
There are just so many. I want to say on the third album in this series, Echoes of Silence, there is a rendition of Dirty Diana, and it's awesomely different than Michael Jackson's version. Disc 1, there's High for this. House of Balloons, Glass Table Girls, The Morning, Wicked Games, The Party and the After Party. Like, I could listen to this shit all the way through all the time. It's badass. And initially giving away all 3 of these for free, not at the same time, obviously. They came out over a period of time. Probably like over a period of like maybe a year or 6 months or something like that initially. But being able to reissue something, get distribution through a major label, and then have people go back and buy the exact same music that they got for free is definitely something that not everybody, I don't think, could achieve.
Yeah, for sure. We'll move on to my notes. I will say, how do I start this? Well, first things first, I had never heard this record prior to this, like not one song off of this. So I did my due diligence. I listened to it straight through the first time. Then I tried what you said I did. I listened to it like in pieces. I listened to like one part on its own, then the next part. Then I listened to the entire thing again. And I will say I wanted to like this record way more than I did. And I was kind of surprised at it. Like, for example, you mentioned House of Balloons. For me, the first disc doesn't even start till that song. Like, the first 2 tracks, at least to me, brought nothing to the table. And then House of Balloons hit, and I was like, oh, okay, we're going to take a ramp up. And then, I don't know, just over the course of the rest of the set, like Life of the Party and The Party and After Party, I liked a lot. The Birds one I liked. Valerie, I thought was a strong ballad. But the only thing I have under Dirty Diana, because that took me by surprise when I first listened to it, because it's just listed as DD, and I had no idea that it was a cover of Michael. The only thing I have listed is Dirty Diana space took odd liberties. So I didn't like the changes that he took with that song. Overall, my thoughts were that the album for me was entirely too atmospheric. I could see being in a certain mood and putting it on. I don't know. I wanted there was a track called Montreal that I thought was one of the most strong tracks on the record. After my third listen, I wrote down that I wanted the whole record to be more like Montreal. And then I listened to, after hearing it 3 times in sequence, I jumped around some tracks, and every time I kept wishing that I was listening to Montreal. So that's how I felt about it. Do you have any questions for my analysis, Michelle?
I do not.
I see.
Go on.
I will say that this is what drew me into the Weeknd initially. The way that it sounds, the creepy, eerie, like it's just very like weird and not like a lot of the stuff that you would hear commercially.
Yeah.
And since this album, well, mostly everything that everyone has heard from the Weeknd has been giant commercial stuff. I mean, he's a huge artist now.
Right.
And his music nowadays is way, way different than anything that has come off of that album.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned on the Pink Floyd episode that The Dark Side of the Moon was their 7th record, and I very much feel like Pink Floyd took the first 6 records to become good enough to be the band to make The Dark Side of the Moon. So to both of you, I will say that if you didn't like The Dark Side of the Moon, you sure as hell shouldn't listen to the 6 they were practicing at to get there. So it might very well be the same thing with The Weeknd, that maybe his later stuff is more what I would be into. And I'm not writing him off by any means. I'm not even writing the record off. It just was this is my initial take on it. So it's fun. Go ahead.
I think that a lot of people would feel the same way that you do because they're so used to the Weeknd that they know now. So it's weird to go back and listen to what he came from. And in 2018, he put out, it's like a 6-track EP called My Dear Melancholy. And it I don't know if they were old songs that came from that time when he recorded like the trilogy stuff, or if it was new stuff and he was trying to sound like the old him, but it's very much like that same style that he originally started with, which is, like I said, very, very different than anything that is out now. I mean, having no idea myself, just hearing you describe it, I would be surprised if that's not exactly the story. There's older material that was reworked or re-released. That's happened a lot lately, like Nathaniel Rateliff, that happened with after the debut came out with the Night Sweats, they reissued the one before that and so on, so that happens a lot. For my thoughts on Pearl Jam 10, it's a perfect album. I mean, it just is. Once is, again, a hell of a way to start the record. Even Flow is a monster hit. It comes perfectly out of the track before it. Alive is another monster hit that comes out of that. I like Why Go a great deal, but it's not quite as hooky as Even Flow and Alive. But what Why Go does is it sets up perfectly for the record to slide into Black, which is really like the first ballad on the record. I don't even know if you can call Black a ballad, but for lack of a better term. And it's such an emotional song, Black is. It's really, really, really gorgeous song full of emotion. Jeremy, I think, is a really important song. I mean, yeah, it was a mega hit, but it's a very important song just dealing with child abuse and bullying at school. Like, of course, child abuse has been talked about for decades, but bullying at schools really hasn't been anything that people have talked about a lot until the last couple of years. And this was something Pearl Jam was preaching about on their first record back in 1991. I think side 2 is absolutely perfect. It's devoid of hits per se, but it's got a lot of fan favorites on it. Again, Ocean coming after Jeremy is almost like a reset of the record. Like from a flow perspective, it's almost like a reset of after like all the turbulence that's on Jeremy is all very calmed down and reflective on Oceans. And then Porch is just another one where it's very fiery, very emotional. Garden is one of my all-time favorite Pearl Jam songs. Just beautiful, beautiful lyrics. And again, all 5 members of the band firing on all cylinders. Release might be my favorite Pearl Jam song of all time, the last song on the record. And actually the first time I ever saw Pearl Jam in concert, they opened with Release. And I went into that show just hoping that they would play it. And then as soon as like the lights went down and you could hear the guitar of that starting, I was like, oh, this is the greatest night ever. And then it went on to be just a hell of a night from there. My biggest case that I can make for 10 is that you can hear the emotion, pain, and feeling that went into every single instrument. The drumming, the bass, both guitar parts. Eddie's singing, his lyrics are sometimes intelligible at times due to his vocal delivery, but even when you can't hear exactly what Eddie's saying, you can absolutely feel the emotion in what he's saying because of how he's delivering it. And to me, I'm a huge lyric guy, and that still matters more to me than
Like hearing the emotion in the delivery matters more to me than what he's actually saying. So those are my thoughts on Pearl Jam 10. What do you think, Kyle?
It is a monster record, and I literally cannot disagree with really anything that you've said.
Yeah. Oh, but I didn't mean that like, yep. I meant that as in like a conversational type way.
Yeah, the entire thing. It's a monster record, and I think that many of the songs on this album are what people know of Pearl Jam. A lot of the songs they play on the radio, like it's very, very mainstream. And I was at the Mopop Museum in Seattle, and they had a Pearl Jam exhibit going on. I don't know if it goes on all the time, but whatever. And you're able to see like Eddie Vedder's notebooks of lyrics and like all this shit. And I was like, oh my god, like this is amazing. And it definitely transcends back into when they were making that album. A lot of the stuff there is from when they were making this album. Yeah, and it's awesome.
And like I mentioned earlier, although this is Pearl Jam's first record, a lot of the guys were regularly in bands around Seattle and whatnot, so they knew their way around a fretboard and, definitely knew their way around constructing songs and whatnot, and I think that lends itself well to how strong of a debut it is. But what were you going to say, Michelle? I was going to say, so you agree with Russ then? So, like, there's no...
I can't... Eddie Vedder has a special place in my heart. I can't knock him or that record if I actually think that it's a good record. So yes, I agree with Russ.
Interesting.
And what's funny is I had a hard time with taking my notes in the weekend because if you remember the first couple of rounds in the tournament, the first couple of episodes, if you go back and listen, like Michelle, you almost have to keep reminding me, like, you're not trying to sell Kyle's record, right? Like I've very much been the same way. And I had a hard time with my weekend notes because I didn't want to be like, oh, I'm just going to, say all this bad stuff about this record. But these were my honest thoughts about the record. And I can't stress enough, I don't think it's a bad album at all. I mean, I love atmospheric music. I just don't, for me at this point with the record, I don't feel like everything flows together exactly right. And I know there's extenuating circumstances, that it was done independently and so on. But for the purposes of this particular matchup, I do firmly believe that 10 is a much more polished effort. I think there's a lot more emotion in it. It's very much one of those records that in many ways is the soundtrack to a lot of people's lives. And then as an aside, I think it's great that it's not just, and I don't want to demean this, but we'll take Alive. Alive is about Eddie Vedder's issues with his father growing up, right? And I don't want to demean that, but like then 2 or 3 songs later, you have Jeremy, which is like about such a broad subject that it's taken 20, 30 years since that record come out for anybody else to recognize that like bullying in schools is a problem. Even with as monster of a hit as that was in the video, I don't know if you've ever seen the video, Michelle, but it's a very, very, very moving video. And I have not. Let's put it this way. The line Jeremy spoke in class today, it's reflective of Jeremy, of the situation resulting in violence and death in the classroom. And this was something that they had recorded in 1991, or recorded probably in 91, was released in 91, had an enormous video that very much makes the point of what occurred in the classroom. And, it was still 20 plus, coming up on 30 years later, it's just now a thing people are talking about. That's my thoughts on it. So
would you say that you're more of a fan of the more commercial, newer Weeknd stuff versus what you listen to on TRILOGY?
I will throw this out there, and whomever listens to the show can cave my head in for this. Up until I listened to the TRILOGY, the only song I'd ever heard by The Weeknd was his, I would assume, his biggest hit, I Can't Feel My Face. Is that what it's called?
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's been a lot now, but yeah, that's one of his main, huge hits.
And I dig that song, but no, not at all. Like, and I can't, it's hard for me to describe. I don't dislike this record. I think I'm looking at it from a stance of like this versus 10. Like if you were to take me out of this situation and say, let's just listen to the TRILOGY, then I would probably have a different overall opinion of it. Like if you're going to throw, like, how my basement's set up. So actually plug for Frank's channel. Everybody got to see how the 33 1/3 is set up. I'm all about throwing on atmospheric stuff and having a drink and whatever. But I think it's just when it's going head up against this one record is when I was looking for flaws isn't the right phrase, but I was kind of looking at it like for the dissecting each track strengths and weaknesses for the purposes of the tournament. Does any of that make sense?
Yeah. I was just curious because a lot of people don't know is the WEEKND originally, a long time ago, he went underneath the name of The Noise, and he had like an EP that he put out that just put out on the internet as like trying to get a feel for if people are going to like dig my music or whatever. And it's very, very poppy and commercial sounding. It never really went anywhere. And then he took on the WEEKND persona and then did all that weird atmospheric, like creepy music. And then his career exploded. And then now he's kind of back to the poppy and poppy, radio stuff.
And so it goes with so many artists.
Yeah.
I mean, it is what it is. I just spoke to you guys the other week, and we don't need to get into it right now, but there's a certain artist that I'm very scared their next project is going to be a all pop record. And I don't have any problem with pop music. I own a ton of pop music. I think there's a time and a place for it. But when an artist is doing a certain thing, I like it when they stay more true to themselves. So I'm not at all discounting pop music by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, I'm a person who proudly owns the 7-inch and 12-inch single for Easy Lover by Phil Collins and Philip Bailey. So I am not in any way, shape, or form getting on a high horse about pop music. So Michelle, let's hear your thoughts first on the WEEKND.
Oh, goody. So let me pull up my notes.
You don't seem to be dreading this as much as you were the Metallica and Pink Floyd situation. So
no, and the only reason I was dreading it is because I didn't have a ruling. Like I literally went into this and I was like,
oh, did you? For the listeners at home, did you catch that? She said I didn't have a ruling. Sounds like someone's made up her mind. But go on, share your notes. If we were doing running commentary on the podcast, it'd be like, did you see that? That's where Michelle said.
So I split up listening to the trilogy over 3 days. I listened to one record each day because I wanted to make sure I got it all. I feel like listening to it in 3 hours in one sitting, and just listening to it, I would have tuned out at some point. So,
not to cut you off, but it should be listened to in 3 segments.
Yep, that's why. Not even knowing that from you, Kyle. That's why I tried it a couple of different ways myself.
Yeah.
Not to be an asshole, but I have the attention span to listen to 3 hours of music in a row, and it's
not even 3 hours. It's 2 hours and 39 minutes.
It is 2 hours and 39 minutes. Yeah. So I did it that way just to do it, just because I didn't want to get on here and go. I split it up and have Kyle be like, "No, you're supposed to." You know what I mean? So I tried it one way and I tried it the other way, just so I was prepared for however you're supposed to listen to it. So anyway, so you split it up over 3 days.
I did. And unlike you, Russ, I thought that High for This was a great start to the record. And I did not like House of Balloons. It was actually, I gave it a thumbs down on my list.
Oh, my.
Which I know, I'm pretty sure that is, Kyle, that's the song I was listening to and you texted me from upstairs and was like, this is my jam.
Yeah. I woke up to hearing you play that in the basement. I was like, yes, I love this.
And I was like, this is bad.
a thumbs down. I swear to God, and I know I'm being funny right now, but if this podcast gets big enough one day, like if we end up with enough supporters, I'm absolutely going to make t-shirts that is like, Michelle gave me a thumbs down, people can wear it.
Michelle gave me a thumbs down.
People wore it as a badge of honor. So anyway, so you liked the first track, House of Balloons, not so much. Go on.
Not so much. The rest of that album for me was there. Like it was I should say all 3 discs, records, whatever you want to call them, were a lot of the same, which is detrimental. Yeah. But the thing is, I didn't hate it though. So like it was a lot of the same. So it was 3 records that were a lot of the same. So the rest of the record was there for me. I didn't love it. I didn't hate it. It was more like, what did you call it? The kind of music it was, right?
Atmospheric.
Yep. It was exactly that for me. And then when on the second day, Life of the Party I didn't love so much the first track on the second record. It didn't really start back up again for me until Life of the Party.
Which I noted, same thing for me.
Yeah, and then I did like the Birds Part 1 and Part 2, which that was about it for that record, was just those 3 songs that I was like, yeah, these stand out to me, and the rest of it was just like very much there.
So not to cut you off, but the reason that a lot of it sounds the same is he was working with the same producer for all of those 3 records. He didn't like branch out and work with anybody else. I don't think most of them are all done by the same person or the same team of people.
Yeah.
So that's why it all like cohesively sounds very similar.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't hate that, but there was nothing that, like, other than a couple tracks on each record, I was like, this is just more of the same, and it's fine. I would say disc 3 was my favorite overall. I did really like the cover of Dirty Diana. It was probably my favorite of the entire trilogy, which it's a cover, but I've heard it before.
And I didn't think it was bad by any stretch. It's just how critical I am of covers in the first place, and then the cover Michael, and so that's why I didn't have anything bad wrote. I thought he took some odd liberties with it.
Yeah, and I did really like Montreal, and I just felt like the entire third record was more, I don't want to say cohesive, but it was more of what I was into.
Right.
But out of all three, overall, I did really like the record. So, like, it was all three of them, and there was nothing that stood out to me as being like an exceptional jammy jam.
Right. Yeah.
It was just all like, I prefer this song over this one, and like it was just all there. So I didn't hate it at all. I liked it. It just was there though.
Got you. All right, moving on to Pearl Jam's debut effort.
Pearl Jam.
Not
REM.
Correct.
Once. It was just an okay start to the record for me. I was hoping for a little bit more. Like I've heard most of these songs before, but never front to back
in sequence.
Yeah. And so I don't dislike the song, but I just expected. I don't know what I expected. We've had a lot of albums on here that the first track is just dynamite, and so that's what I've been looking for. Actually, a lot of times, like, how does this? Like, I feel like it sets the entire mood.
Right.
It did not that it didn't set the mood. It just wasn't as strong as I was hoping it would be.
Sure.
Even Flow, Alive, Black, those were all jams.
Damn it, I love Black. Like, I truly, there's not a song on the record I dislike, but Black is such an emotional, perfect jam.
Yeah, I very much enjoyed Black. And then it runs right into Jeremy, which is also a jam. I really did like Deep as well.
Oh, man, what a jam.
And Release, I did like it, but then it has that weird outro on it, which is not my jam. I was like, I literally thought the record had stopped and it was playing a different song. Like, because I was like, I knew it was the last song and I was listening to it and I was like, who is it playing now? Like, what is going on? And I was like, oh, it's the same song. It's 9 minutes.
It's not even really the same song on streaming. It's part of Release, but it's just kind of like a coda to the record. Release ends and then there's just that like coda.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was something else that started playing. And I was just like, what is going on right now?
I'm just saying don't discount Release over that because that's a monster way to end the record.
Yes. So overall, there was nothing that I hated on the record, just like on the weekends. I liked the vibe a little bit more. I would feel like, I guess it depends on what kind of mood I'm in. Like, it definitely isn't like atmospheric, like sit down,
sure,
chill out kind of mood.
Well, I would say overall, that it can be in certain parts. Like, I think Oceans and parts of Deep and Release and Garden for sure can lend itself.
All the songs I didn't really like.
No. And what's interesting to me though is that that's what I'm saying about, we're talking about the Weeknd being atmospheric overall, and you didn't so much love all of that, and that's the parts of 10 that you didn't love are the parts that are atmospheric.
Yeah, and I guess overall I'm not a huge Pearl Jam fan to begin with. Not that I'm a big fan of the Weeknd.
The woman who continually can't tell them apart from REM. You're not a huge fan, are you?
Yeah, they're just there for me.
Sure.
Like, I don't ever seek them out, and it was nice to sit down and listen to a whole record. I guess the Weeknd was the same as well. Like, I never have went out to listen to a record from the Weeknd front to back, and I never, like, I just like the singles. Same thing with Pearl Jam. Like, I like all the singles that are on the radio, but I don't ever seek them out. I don't put them on playlists. I don't ever do anything with them. They're just kind of there for me.
Sure.
So,
well, hopefully throughout this tournament we change that, and things become your jammy jam. Okay, so those were your notes. Are you ready to make a ruling now? I know there was some question earlier. So, all right, she is. I will take us to break, and then when we come back, do a little bit of housekeeping and get us into the ruling. Well, you heard both sides of the argument. Hopefully, folks have heard at least some of both of these records. We are ready to get into the nasty business that we always get into at the end of the show. Very quickly, as I always do, I want to remind everybody that listens to the show that if you want to, if you're so inclined, you can go to anchor.fm/Infectious Groove Podcast, hit that support button, and support us for as little as $1 a month. And we very much appreciate everybody who supports us so far. And we,
yes, thank you.
Yeah, we would, we have some cool things lined up that we're going to pop off just as soon as we get a scotch more support. So just wanted to mention that. Getting back into the business, Michelle, are you in fact ready to do your ruling?
Nah, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I am.
Here it comes. In the court of Michelle, who do you find to be the record moving on?
Pearl Jam 10.
I kid you not, and I'm not saying this to be funny. Nobody watching this can see me. Obviously, you two can. I'm not being funny. I'm sweating right now. Like I was literally sweating that decision. Like when turn a phrase like, "Oh, I was really sweating that one." I for real right now am sweating. Tell us a little bit about your reasoning, Michelle.
So they both got 5 out of 10, which I'm sure is going to make a lot of people mad.
So you spread joy wherever you go with this. I literally today just fielded another text that if I show it to you on my phone right now takes up an entire screen because someone I know is behind by about 3 or 4 episodes, and all I could do was reply with, "Oh man, you're gonna be real unhappy the next couple." But you know what? We're looking for interaction and we're looking for fun, and as long as people take it that way,
doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. So in any case, you gave The Weeknd 5 out of 10 and Pearl Jam 10, one of the most celebrated rock records of all time that was heavily involved in the entire movement of the music industry from one format
celebrated by whom
to another. Why don't you believe in sales numbers, by the way?
Oh, hey, Michelle, I'd like to tell you something. Not only did this decision has hurt my heart personally, but beyond that, those 3 albums, or the 3 albums that make up the trilogy independently, they were downloaded 8 million times on the internet before they became commercially available, which is why they were able to get the commercial distribution that they were allowed to have.
Michelle, can I answer for you? Because I'm pretty sure I know what you're going to say. Not by me.
Well, I was going to say, not that this would have changed the ruling, but you could have mentioned any of that beforehand. You just thought you had it in the bag. You're just like, it's fine.
No, I had to drop
I'm dating her. It's fine. She's going to pick my record.
My heart is so hurt by a 5 for 10. It's not even funny.
You
gave 10 half of its title as a rating.
I did. I'm just gonna stop telling you what my ratings are because I feel like it just makes you mad.
Sure. So so let's get into it a little bit. What you don't? I mean, you shared your notes on both records already. Like, yes. What is it? I guess what is it that put, if they're in a dead heat and they're 5-5 each, what is it that put 10 over the edge?
So overall, I had the same feelings that. Not same. I felt similarly as to Russ did. Is that even? I felt similarly as Russ did about The Weeknd. I just feel like it's a lot of the same, and it's not that it's bad. It doesn't need to be 3 records in my opinion. Like I understand that why it is, but like it's just 3 records that could have been released or cut down into 1 in my opinion, or 2.
I'll say this: I am looking forward to breaking back into it under different circumstances, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yes, like they both records had highlights on them. None of them had any stinkers. Like there was no
stinkers.
Or there was
that is the best. That is the best terminology I've heard.
I want every pressing of because I'm sure eventually they're going to repress Trilogy on vinyl. Mm-hmm. I want badly for it to be have a hype sticker that's features this, and this, 4 stars, Pitchfork, no stinkers. Michelle, Infectious Groove Podcast.
5 out of 10, no stinkers.
Yeah. Hey man, when you unwrap that vinyl, make sure you keep that hype sticker. Oh, you like to keep your hype stickers? Well, yeah, this has the quote about it having no stinkers on it. Holy cow!
So
no stinkers on either. Before you,
House of Balloons wasn't my favorite. It was my least favorite of all three, but I wasn't like this song is awful. Where I've thought that on other records before.
You would not use a poop emoji to describe it, as it was not a stinker.
I did not. Yes, I would not use that. So overall, I just felt like I do think that length had something to do with it. I do feel like the Pro Jam 10. Yeah. Front to back was a better composed album.
10, you're saying?
What did I say?
No, I'm saying that overall, in the end.
What did I call it?
In the end. Well, let me put it this way. If I'm hosting and listening to you directly.
In the end is Linkin Park.
And I got a little bit confused as to what exactly you were saying, then I'm sure other people were, so I wanted to clarify. In the end, you thought the
10.
overall package of 10 was slightly better than. But they both receive a 5 out of 5 on the Michelle scale. Holy cow.
5 out of 10.
All right. Well, like I say, I'm excited that 10 won, but again, I'm not, I really, if nothing else out of this for me comes another record that I can dig into more with the trilogy.
Yeah. What comes next week? I'm excited.
Oh boy.
What do you do first, Kyle?
I was going to say, if anyone cares to not listen to the trilogy, you can go online and find each individual or each record individually, and the trilogy they're all mixed and mastered way than they were when they were here. The rough cut, like rough shit that originally came out versus the mastered stuff the remastered stuff on trilogy.
Yeah. Well, it was important to me to hear the end product, so I did listen to it on Spotify, but I Googled, because you had previously said it was 3 separate pieces, so I Googled like where those begun and end, so I could know that, for listening to it in pieces. But yeah, that'd be interesting too, to go back to listen to the independent versions. To answer your question, Michelle, oh boy, next week starts what I think 3 weeks in a row of pain, death, and destruction for you, because it's just 3 weeks of great albums going front to back. So next week you have an album from 2019 going against an album from 1966. You have Dermot Kennedy, Without Fear, from 2019 going up against an album some people have heard of called Pet Sounds by the Beach Boys. So yeah, and trust me when I tell you, it doesn't get any easier for you from here. Like I have the bracket, and it's just going to get harder from here. But I do feel like we're going to start inching up over scores of 5 or more.
Yes.
Here.
I can already tell you that both those records, without even I've heard them, and they both rate more than 5.
Oh.
So I'm gonna have to sit down and listen to them side by side to even
Of all of Brian Wilson's accomplishments, just the fact that he knows Pet Sounds is an automatic over 5 for you that's got to be something he's very proud of. It's got to go up there with the Hall of Fame intro.
I have a question. Is the Dermot Kennedy album the newest album on the bracket? I'm just curious.
No, Eminem, Music to Be Murdered.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
So I think this is by far the biggest gap we have on the tournament, though, between the album releases, though.
And it's going to be a great competition.
Oh yeah.
I feel like that.
Yep. From here out, things are going to get. It only gets harder from here because the next 3 are very hard for you to judge, and then records that have won are going to start going up against each other.
Yeah.
I know. So, thank you as always, you guys, for being involved in this. Michelle, thanks so much for putting up with the with the entire situation. I know there's been records so far that you haven't wanted to even listen to. If nothing else, you got yourself a 2 very middle of the road records to continue enjoying from here on. So
I'm very happy.
That's exactly it. They're just middle of the road for me. That's why they get a 5.
Right.
I'm very happy that I got you to listen to 3 hours worth of The Weeknd at one time. So
I don't dislike The Weeknd.
I'm just saying.
I've never sat down like Metallica. You should be glad that I sat down and listened to Metallica.
Oh, I am. That's one of their best records.
All right. Well, with that, I will let you guys take that argument offline. I'm going to take us out of here so folks don't have to hear this mess. And this episode will be out on Friday for y'all to listen to, and then we'll have a new main episode out, the continuation of the live albums episode next Monday. So thank you so much for listening. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.